Summer Sizzle, our second 100-plus day in a row, and the Central Valley is baking tonight.
Some pool problems. Thinking about cooling down in the Sacramento City pool? Well, think again.
And when cell phone companies try to charge a sailor more than $1,000 extra on his bill, Call 3 steps in to make things right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Galston Dart.
And I'm Edie Lambert. KCRA 3 reports in high definition next.
This is KCRA 3 reports at 6 in high definition, where the news comes first.
And a look from Live Copter 3 HD, actually starting out with the sunshine, but just a scorching Sacramento Valley as we begin the news at 6. The sun is still beating down as we start this 6 o'clock hour. And as you know, we are still at least a few hours away from seeing any kind of cool down. And good evening, I'm Edie Lambert. Second straight day of temperatures in the hundreds now across Northern California.
Yeah, it may have taken a while, but there's no mistaking it. Summer is definitely here temperature-wise now. It didn't help everyone or keep everyone huddled inside the AC, even as temperatures were climbing this afternoon. We caught up with some tennis players hitting the court at Garcia Ben Park in Sacramento today. They may like the hot weather, but most of us were more like this dog, scrambling for a little shade there.
Just for this tennis ball, keeping it cool. The heat did not keep people off the streets of downtown Sacramento, but we saw a lot of folks like this guy, just sort of chilling as best as possible, grabbing some shade and a little ice cream to go with it. And since then, the temperatures, of course, have just climbed hotter and hotter. Here's a live look at Sacramento from our sky camera on top of the Rancho Cordova Marriott. Pretty still out there. Every so often we feel a hint of a breeze, but nothing cool. Yeah, not until that sun goes down, at least. We also have the view here from Stockton right now, courtesy of our Stockton Arena sky camera, and you can see the American flag there waving. So they've got a little breeze down there by the water. Now we'd like to take you to Fairfield, and of course those golden hillsides out there. The grass is dry. On days like this, it just gets drier and drier. We are, of course, from that flag shot, seeing just a little bit of a breeze out there. Yeah, finally to the Sierra, where we get this view from our sky camera there at South Lake Tahoe. Probably a little bit cooler there. And for the latest on our current conditions, those current hot conditions, here's KCRA 3 Weather Plus Chief Meteorologist Mark Finan.
Well, and consider that the hottest part of the day at this time of year is between about 4 and 6, so we're just now coming off the hottest part of the day. Let me show you the temperatures we do have right now. All valley spots are still at or above 100 degrees. Currently in Sacramento, well, we have 97 now down at Executive Airport, so we're coming off the daytime high. But many areas, especially to the east, let's say Folsom, Roseville, Rockland, you're still at or above 100. Stockton, you saw the breeze beginning to come in off the Delta, 99, but Modesto, the classic example of being well away from the Delta, not getting any sign of a cooling breeze yet. We have 103 and 82 degrees at South Lake Tahoe. Obviously nothing but blue sky throughout the area and just hot, and it's going to stay pretty warm throughout the evening hours. The other thing we have a concern about at this time of year and days like this is the air quality. Right. I'll talk more about that coming up in a couple of minutes.
Okay, we'll check back with you. Okay. And of course, this heat has all of us looking for ways to stay cool. Oh yeah, but if you live in Sacramento, don't count on getting to the pool and staying there for very long. For more on that story, we turn to KCRA 3's David Bienick, who is at Southside Pool in Sacramento, where the pool it's already cleared out tonight. David?
Yeah, that's right. The lifeguards just climbed out. They just finished up one of their paid swim classes. It's those recreational swim hours, the ones that really only cost $1 a head for kids, that have been severely cut back. And the president of that neighborhood association would not rule out that some pools might even be renamed for corporate sponsors. In any event, that wouldn't happen until next summer at the earliest. In the meantime, if you'd like to check out the current pool hours for Sacramento City Parks and Recs Department, we've set up a link at the As Seen On section of KCRA.com. Live in Sacramento, David Bienick, KCRA 3 reports.
All right, less options for people out there right now. David, thanks for that. Well, those closed pools leaving people looking for other options to stay cool, including hitting the rivers out there. Yeah, including Discovery Park, a very popular site, the confluence of the American and Sacramento rivers. Dan Shively is flying Live Copter 3 HD overhead, and I know, Dan, you've been reporting back that it's been pretty crowded out there.
Boy, it certainly is, Edie, you know, and they don't call this River City for nothing. This is just one of the river access points that's crowded today. We just checked out Sand Cove Park over up the Sacramento River. Very crowded there too. Excuse me. And just a few moments ago, we've checked the entire length of the American River all the way out to Lake Natoma. And again, every river access point enjoying a big crowd. Very popular this afternoon, as you could well imagine. And of course, you always have to mention the river along with the safety aspect. Water's still cold. and it is swift, so if you are going to be in the river, make sure you have a life jacket and watch the drinking. First of all, it's illegal and it's dangerous. Well, for more on the weather, there's hot weather. Let's go to Mark Finan. Mark?
Well, Dan, as I mentioned earlier, when we start getting days with temperatures up around 100, 102, 103 like we have seen today, one of our concerns is air quality. Of course, we haven't had to worry too much about the air quality in the cool spring and early June we've had, but this is the latest air quality map. And what I want you to pay attention to is that area of orange right there that's east of Sacramento. So that would include Folsom, El Dorado Hills, and even down toward the Ione area, let's say in Amador County. That's in the unhealthy for sensitive groups area. Number-wise, that would be up around 120, 130 on the AQI scale, and the areas of yellow are just in the moderate range, anywhere between about 50 and 100. As we get into the evening hours, the air quality will be improving, and we might have to deal with a bit of this again tomorrow. I'll tell you more about when we're going to be getting some cooling and better air quality coming up later in the newscast.
And we'd like to see how you're beating the heat. You can upload your summertime snapshots to YouLocal and show us your tips. We're already getting some great shots. One of our viewers uploaded this photo. This is titled, "Kate Knows How to Stay Cool," and yeah, she sure does. And another shot, this one called "Isaac Grabbing Some Air." It was taken on New Melones Reservoir. And an obvious idea, but still always a great one. This one coming from Shauna, who says her family beats the heat by heading to Lake Tahoe. You can log on to the YouLocal section of KCRA.com to upload your summer snapshots or look at other people's. And don't forget, you can track the weather from home on KCRA.com/weather. You'll find our day planner and the 7-day forecast, so you'll know when you'll need to beat the heat. Again, that's all at KCRA.com/weather. And we'll have more on the weather in just a couple of minutes, but for now, let's head over to Galston for more news.
All right, thanks for that, Edie. Well, the federal agents are on the scene right now of a fire at a Christian center in West Sacramento. A team of investigators is trying to figure out if fire was arson and who is behind it. KCRA 3's Mike DeSell, Live Force in West Sacramento, with more on the investigation and what comes next for the church.
And Galston, we actually have a late-breaking update for you. KCRA 3 confirming that an arson dog brought on scene here to look into this fire. In the middle of this building on the west side, that dog did get a hit, meaning that this is definitely a suspicious fire, but still not yet full-fledged arson. Meanwhile, there really is two parallel stories happening here, one on the investigation and the other is on how this community is rallying to help those in need. And back here live again to reiterate the latest news that has just come out, that an arson dog getting a hit here at this fire scene. Now, the reason that investigators don't believe yet that that's confirmation that this is arson is because it's in an area where there is an electrical line, so it's possible this still could be something like an electrical fire, so fire investigators still having their work cut out for them. But yes, an arson dog did get a hit out here, and that, they say, does seem to indicate that this fire is suspicious in nature. Galston?
All right, with that in mind, Mike, are investigators looking into threats or any kind of potential link between the fire and the fact that that's a religious-based center?
Well, at this point, both the investigators and those who operate this center say they haven't had any direct recent threats against this center and therefore don't have any specific reason to believe someone would want to do this. And they say until they're able to determine what this fire started or how this fire started, they say they won't be able to begin narrowing down suspects because they won't be able to do that until they know for sure that this was indeed arson. Either way, investigators still on scene out here at this late hour, 6 o'clock in the evening. Live in West Sacramento, Mike DeSell, KCRA 3 reports.
Yeah, doing more work there. Okay, thanks, Mike.
An electrical problem is now being blamed for a fire that shut down 4 restaurants in Elk Grove. That fire broke out around noon at a shopping center on Laguna Boulevard and Bruceville Road. Firefighters knocked out those flames very quickly. Most of the damage was caused by all the smoke, but those restaurants won't be able to reopen until electrical work is complete.
19-year-old Verizon customer Sean Marsh was about to ship out to sea with the Navy, but before he left, he promised to call home often. After all, he had unlimited phone and texting on his plan.
So then when he got a bill for $1,400 for just a few phone calls, Sean's family contacted Call 3 to help him unfurl that mess. KCRA 3's Lindsay Paulo shows you how to avoid outrageous roaming charges.
Lindsay Paulo, KCRA 3 reports.
And if you need Call 3 to go to work for you, you can send us an email. Go to kcra.com/call3 and click on the Call 3 email icon. Or you can call us 916-447-2255.
And when we continue tonight at 6, a move at the state capitol has some motorcyclists revved up about a plan to quiet their bikes down.
And later, when Thunder Valley Casino announced plans to expand, neighbors were up in arms. But now they're welcoming all this with open arms. What changed their minds? Coming up.
And another hot day, a live look right now. You can see here from one of our sky cams in Stockton, and it is still hot.
You're watching KCRA 3 Reports at 6 in high definition, where the news comes first. With Edie Lambert, Gulston Dart, Chief Meteorologist Mark Finan with your KCRA 3 Weather Plus forecast, and Livecopter 3 HD. This is KCRA 3 Reports at 6 in high definition.
Well, a popular launching spot for boats in Sacramento is closed today to make sure there's plenty of clearance for anyone out there using that ramp for the rest of the summer.
And here you can see why. Work is underway right now at Garcia Bend Park as crews dredge the area around the boat ramp. They're getting rid of the silt that has built up over the winter along that stretch of the Sacramento River.
For people to be able to launch their boat safely, we do a silt removal every year, and we usually get about, maybe 1 or 2 dump trucks out of here.
Now, there are nearby boat ramps open in Clarksburg and Miller and Discovery Parks. And by the way, the Garcia Bend boat ramp is also closed from this coming Friday night into Saturday afternoon for the annual parade and community fair.
And back to our Weather Plus coverage tonight. Here's a look at the scene along the river in Sacramento. Well, there's some people out there. This is at the water intake area there. A nice, cool spot to spend the heat of the day. For half a second there, I thought we were looking at some tennis courts there. But yeah, you can see clearly there. That's a beautiful little promenade. You can walk right out there on the river.
It really is nice. I would not want to be doing that, however.
No.
I mean, that's typically true, but even more so when it's over 100 degrees, Mark.
That's just a really good excuse not to run, actually.
Really
But you know, the other thing about our heat is you're always just going to pick your time of day. Maybe you don't do that between about 3 and 7, but if you want to do that at 9 o'clock in the morning, that's okay. It's warm, but certainly not in the heat of the day. Let's head outside with Dan Shively, who's up in Livecopter 3 HD. And Dan, some people just know how to stay cool, don't they?
Boy, that's an understatement there, as we're looking at a lot of folks out here on the Sacramento River. There's one just going under the Pioneer Bridge, but a lot of boating activity going on down here. And you're right, what a great way to stay cool.
And we are starting to see temperatures trickle off the daytime highs. 97 degrees currently in Sacramento. We're starting to get the right wind direction. There just isn't much cool air on that wind yet. We have wind out of the southwest at 10. In Stockton, we have 99 degrees. The wind also coming in off the delta. It's a little bit cooler than it was last night, but only by a degree or so. And it's still plenty hot in Modesto, where we have 103. Winds out of the northwest at 10. In Fairfield, we have 91 degrees. A little bit cooler. Oh, you see that? Somebody just kind of, the water skier there just, yeah. Yeah, I think maybe, the pressure of being on TV got to them. And Tahoe, we have 82 degrees, winds out of the southwest at 10. Dan, thanks for the great pictures. Let's go to KCRA 3 live triple Doppler. The KCRA 3 Weather Plus 7-day forecast. Everybody gets into the cooling for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Upper 80s to near 90. And there's the 4th of July weekend. Mid-90s, but probably nothing hotter than that. And so now that we have seen our first real heat of the summer season, perhaps mid-90s won't feel all that bad after we've tasted a couple of 102s and 103s.
It's funny how that happens every summer, isn't it?
It does, yeah.
Mark, thanks.
All right, coming up next, a big expansion bringing new jobs to Placer County, and then tonight at 11.
A dangerous jump into a local river caught on tape. That teenager, now you can see it right there, jumping from the top of a moving SUV into the water. The night team showing that video to park rangers right now. We'll tell you what they have to say about it coming up. You can now find a little bit of Vegas in the city of Lincoln. The new Thunder Valley Casino Resort expansion opened today.
Yeah, it includes a 17-story hotel, restaurants, a pool, a full-service spa. It is a project that most political leaders in Placer County supported from the start. KCRA 3's Kevin Riggs has the story.
And the news at 6:30 is next. We'll take you inside the trial of that former officer on trial now for murder.
And it could be over in the next couple of days, and that has Northern California law enforcement bracing for a backlash.
Kids, water! and an overdressed reporter. I'm Georgia Fitzpatrick. I'll show you some free family fun.
This is KCRA 3 Reports at 6:30 in high definition, where the news comes first.
Well, a second hot day in a row has Northern California struggling to stay cool today, and we're getting these pictures here from Livecopter 3 HD. That's one of my ways to stay cool, and I get a lucky day in.
I was out in the Delta yesterday and seeing just so many boaters, skiers, wakeboarders, just folks having a lot of fun out there. For more on the hot conditions today, let's check in with Weather Plus Chief Meteorologist Mark Finan.
Yeah, we're beginning to come off the hottest part of the day, but it really isn't going to cool off that much in many areas tonight, especially areas well away from the Delta, and that includes the foothills. Let me show you the temperatures we have through the area right now. Notice areas away from the Delta. Marysville and Modesto, those are our hottest spots. 104 in Marysville, 103 in Modesto. The foothills also still running plenty warm. It's warmer in Auburn at 97 than it is in Fairfield, and Fairfield has the same temperature as Placerville at 91 degrees. So anywhere up and down the Highway 49 corridor, you're going to be staying very warm tonight. But if you're in Solano County and even parts of Yolo County, there are signs that you might start to see some cooling. I'll tell you more about that coming up in just a couple of minutes.
And now to a popular way to beat the heat in Stockton, but it's high and dry today.
Yeah, the interactive water feature at Weber Point, well, it's long been a place to frolic in those cooling jets, but it's closed for the next day or two as city maintenance workers get out there to chlorinate the water. Hundreds of people usually go to the park daily to cool off here. The city does acknowledge that the timing couldn't be worse, but they add that they have to keep the water clean.
Yeah, people definitely would appreciate that. Yeah. And as KCRA 3's Deirdre Fitzpatrick found, a similar spot in Sacramento County is proving to be just the ticket for some parents trying to keep the kids happy on these long, hot summer days.
At Swanston Park, feeling very overdressed. I'm Deirdre Fitzpatrick, KCRA 3 reports. Yikes.
And there she goes. Well, other news today, Governor Schwarzenegger's office announced that 2 more unions have reached an agreement with the state on pension reform and salary reductions. The agreements cover 14,000 employees who are represented by the Union of American Physicians and Dentists and the International Union of Operating Engineers. These reforms include rolling back a pension increase and increasing employee pension contributions. Also under this deal, the unions agreed to 1 furlough day a month. Well, budget cuts are now starting to show up as shorter hours at Sacramento City Hall. Right now, the public counter where people pay parking tickets and business taxes is now open from 7:30 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening. But starting in August, the counter will open at 12:30 in the afternoon. Managers say shorter public hours will help prevent paperwork from stacking up.
I think at first they're going to be a little shocked that the time they can come in is limited, but when they do come in and they see that we're focused on the customer service and we have all the windows open, I think they'll be pleased at the service they get.
Now, the city says it is working on installing a payment drop box in the lobby of City Hall, and it reminds people some bills like parking tickets can still be paid online, so that's another alternative there. Other news in a Los Angeles courtroom, the murder trial of former BART police officer Johannes Messerly is nearing a close.
And today, a retired Los Angeles police captain took the stand for the defense. Claudine Wong has the details. The judge, by the way, still hoping to hear closing arguments on Thursday.
Meanwhile, in the Bay Area, authorities are getting ready for the verdict, and some fear serious fallout depending on whatever the jury finds. John Sasaki reports from Oakland. Well, a day of landmark decisions shaking up the legal world today. The Supreme Court issuing a string of rulings affecting everything from anti-discrimination rules on campus to the legality of a California city's universal health care law.
And of course, the biggest ruling today involves the hot button issue of gun control. Steve Handelsman is in Washington tonight with that story.
From Capitol Hill, I'm Steve Handelsman, KCRA 3 reports.
This is the focus of tonight's KCRA.com web poll. Should cities be able to ban handguns? Yes or no? You can log on to cast your vote. And so far on our website, every single comment supports that decision. Typical is this comment from a user who writes, quote, "Every law that seems to pass to protect us honest people keeps us honest, but the bad people still do their thing," end quote. So whether you agree or disagree, you can log on and let us hear your take on the issue.
And coming up tonight at 10 on KQCA My 58, robbed at the smoke shop, how a text message helped Sacramento police catch their guy.
Also, commercial fishermen making an unexpected catch over the weekend, where they snagged jaws. That and much more coming up at 10 on My 58.
And then coming up on the news tonight at 11, a group of campers attacked by a bear that came right into their tent. The decision they made that probably saved their lives.
And next, a war over wine. There's a fight over how you buy your wine, and it's pitting vintners against distributors. The problem for you, it's over how much you have to pay. We'll have that story right after the break.
You're watching KCRA 3 Reports at 6:30 in high definition, where the news comes first. With Edie Lambert, Gulston Dart, Chief Meteorologist Mark Finan with your KCRA 3 Weather Plus forecast. KCRA 3 Sports with Del Rogers. And Livecopter 3 HD. This is KCRA 3 Reports at 6:30 in high definition.
A Senate bill being considered right now at the state capitol is really angering some motorcyclists. That new law would require new motorcycles purchased after 2011 to be subject to a sound check.
Yeah, it's Senate Bill 435, and it would require new motorcycles to undergo muffler noise restrictions. The original bill had called for motorcycles to also be smog tested like cars. That's been dropped from the bill. Now, if this bill becomes law and motorcyclists get caught with loud mufflers above the federal EPA noise standard, they'd get hit with a $300 ticket. SB 435 just passed out of the Assembly Transportation Committee by a vote of 8-4. It is now headed to the Appropriations Committee.
Now to a war over wine at issue. Should drinkers be able to order online and get their bottles delivered directly to their homes?
Now, the fight is happening in Congress, but it will have a big impact on both wine lovers and growers here in our state. Tom Bakar has more.
Now to a guy who knows a lot about wine and the weather. Here's KCRA 3 Weather Plus Chief Meteorologist Mark Finan. What are you thinking? Nice, ice-cold Pinot Grigio?
I'd be still going with a glass of Cabernet.
You are a red wine guy.
You're consistent.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. Right now, we do have a pretty hot early evening underway, but there were signs of cooling. Let me take you through the area right now and show you how we're doing. That's a live look from our Lake Tahoe sky camera. Still warm by Tahoe standards at 82 degrees. Now, down in the lower elevations, we have 97 degrees in Sacramento, 99 in Stockton. Modesto, 103. That's one of the keys to the cooling. Places well away from the Delta, just not seeing much in the way of cooling. The 4th of July weekend, we're talking mid-90s, so temperatures do bounce up a little bit for the holiday weekend, but nothing too excessive. I don't see any more 103s, 104s, at least in the near term. So there are signs of cooling out there right now, and some areas will cool off a little bit faster than other areas tonight, but everybody will cool off over the next few days.
A lot of Cabernet between now and then.
For some.
After midnight, perhaps.
Maybe.
Mark, thanks.
A little more World Cup action. They're riveting the eyes of sports fans across the world today.
Next, Del Rogers taking us out to the soccer pitch for all the highlights as Chile and Brazil meet for a must-win game.
Welcome back. I'm Del Rogers. It's time for sports. While the USA may be out of the World Cup, the rest of the world is still watching as the knockout stage continues. Now, the game of the day was between South American rivals Brazil and Chile. Brazil came in looking to win and advance to their 5th straight World Cup quarterfinals, while Chile came in confident after a strong performance in group play. You can win tickets to a Rivercats home game by uploading pictures of your little athlete to KCRA.com, local. The winner is Bryson. The uploaded picture was Bryson drives to the green. You saw it.
I wish my form looked that good.
There you go. He can look like he can get it down there.
Del, thanks.
You got it.
Here's what the night team's working on for the news tonight at 11.
Senator Schwarzenegger will have more on the person who considered appointing California's governor as a U.S. senator. We'll see you back here at 11.